Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good day to everyone. My name is Syafiq bin Rosdi from SMK Padang Pak Ahmad, Pasir Putih, Kelantan, and today you are going to be with me for English online class focusing on summary writing. So there are three learning objectives for today. The first one is, by the end of the session, students will be able to understand the structure of Paper 2 Section C focusing on summary. And number two, the students should be able to use effective steps to find at least 10 points. And the last one is, by the end of the session, students should be able to use effective strategies to write summary and of course get a good mark. For this session, I have included last year's SPM summary question, and as you can see, there are several paragraphs following with the question for summary writing. So let's talk about the nature of Section C summary writing. Summary writing is the second part of Section C. It consists of an article of several paragraphs, and it could be a factual text or a story. And a summary question, it also has a summary question which may require students to find points of two different focuses. We will discuss about this when we look at the question later on. The format of summary writing is, you will get 10 marks for 10 points, 5 marks for language, so the total will be 15 marks. And then there is a word limit that we have to obey, that is 130 words including 10 words given. So meaning to say, you only have to write 120 words because the 10 words are already given in the question. And then your answer for summary must be in continuous writing form. And the last one, you have to write your total word count at the bottom. So the time suggested for summary writing is 30 minutes because the whole time suggested for Section C is 50 minutes. And remember, we have spent 20 minutes for reading comprehension, so we have to spend the remaining 30 minutes to finish our summary writing. Let's talk about the stages in summary writing for SPM, or also known as steps. The first step is digest the summary question. I always remind my own students to digest the summary question. Digesting the summary question means you read the question at least twice. This is because it is very important to completely understand the task. Without understanding the task properly, you might not be able to find all the points. Step number two is to identify the area to summarize. This is also stated in the question. So, we have to pay attention to the instruction. After reading the instruction, you have to locate the range to be summarized and then make a box or use your highlighter to highlight from line 19 to line 43, for example. So you will know that is the area that you want to focus on when writing the summary. So let's look at the question. Melissa faced problems when she was paragliding on March 2nd. Based on the passage, write a summary on number 1, the problems she faced, and number 2, what she did to try to overcome these problems. So remember, when I talk about the nature of the question, it can ask you to find points of two different focuses. So in this case, you need to find points for the problems that she faced when she was paragliding. And number 2, you need to find out what action that she had done to try to overcome the problems that she was facing. So credit will be given for use of own words, but care must be taken not to change the original meaning. Your summary must be in continuous writing form, not in note form, and you have to use material from line 19 to line 43. So this is step number 2, identify the area to be summarized. So if you notice there, it is from line 19 to line 43. Next one, you have to write your summary, and it must not be longer than 130 words, including the 10 words given below. And you should begin your summary as follows. So the 10 words are given there. So the next step is read the text. After you have understood the question, after you have identified the area to be summarized, you read the text. Just read through the range identified. while keeping in mind what we are looking for. And then step 4, you have to find the content points. You can start looking for content points by using the keywords or underline and bracket sentences that seem related to the topic. So let's try to do step 3 and step 4 together. This is the text. After flying for 15 minutes, Melissa decided to land on a spot next to a rice field. It was much smaller than most landing zones, but it was possible. Suddenly, she began falling at an alarming speed. So if we remember, we need to find the points on the problems that she had faced when she was paragliding, and also the action that she had done to overcome the problems. So that sentence, she began falling at an alarming speed, is the first problem that she faced. So we have to underline that. She had touched down there successfully on a few previous occasions. There is no problem there. There is not also an action that she did to overcome. Would she be able to do this time? Her paraglider was not catching the wind in the way it needed to. So this is another problem, that her paraglider was not working properly. So we underline this one. She had been in a similar situation before, so she quickly pulled her lines. That is something that she did to overcome her problem. So let's underline that as well. This was something she had been taught to do in her training. That is not a problem. This time, however, the wing did not respond. That is another problem. So let's underline that. The next paragraph. If you ask anyone in the paragliding club about the characteristic they most associated with Melissa, the chances are they would say determination. So there is no point there because that's not a problem or that's not an action. But what could she do now? She struggled to control the wing as she was being thrown in all directions. That sounds like a problem because she was struggling to control her wings and she was being thrown in all directions. So let's underline that one. It was like being tossed around inside a washing machine. That is another problem to me. So let's underline that as well. She remembered her instructor describing an ordeal he had once been through and now understood why he had used this image. She made a series of rapid turns which had no effect. So that is something she did. She made a series of rapid turns which had no effect. So that let's underline that as well. Next paragraph. 2 years before, when paragliding with her instructor, Melissa had managed to get herself down unharmed in the midst of a sudden storm. Melissa's instructor prided himself on the fact that, with his support, his trainees always landed safely. There's nothing there. Melissa's natural ability struck him as being unusual. That is not a problem. However, and even more noticeable was the calmness she showed. That is also not a problem and not an action that she did. That was then though. Now, the ground was moving fast towards her and she could see the rice field getting ever closer. That sounds like a problem, like she's falling down very fast and the ground looks like it was moving towards her. So let's underline that. The villagers working in the field started to look up and point. That is not a problem or not something that she did. Flapping the wing was one way of slowing down to land, but it was too late now for that. Okay, let's underline that because it sounds like something that she would do to overcome the problem, but the problem is it was too late. Okay, so let's underline both of the points. Directly below her, she could see clumps of sharp bamboo. That is another problem. It is dangerous to fall on clumps of sharp bamboo. So let's underline that. A short distance away, near the edge of the field, there was a 2-story farm building that she wanted to avoid. That is another problem because she had to avoid the farm building. And in the last paragraph, then beyond the building, she noticed a stream just wide enough for her to land in. That is something she did. She noticed the stream and she decided that this was her best chance. So let's underline both. Notice the stream and also she decided that this was her best chance. But as she was about to touch down, her wing got caught on the roof of the farm building. That is another problem, the last problem she had to face, where the wings of her paraglider was caught on the roof of the farm building. So that's the end of line 43. So the next step in the stages or in summary writing for SPM is step 5, omit, edit and rephrase. Omitting and editing stage is very crucial in order to make sure that you don't exceed the word limit. So what happens in omitting and editing stage is you have to look out for long examples to be omitted. We need to remember, when writing our summary, we just need to write the points. So we have to delete, we have to omit any long examples or any unnecessary, unrelated information. And for rephrasing, we have to change some long phrases to shorter words. Some good students may be able to rephrase the points to make it sound like their own sentences. And the last step in writing a summary is writing the summary itself. When writing the summary, you need to write the points in continuous writing form. And then, when writing the points, you have to follow the sequence of points you found in the articles. And remember, when writing the summary, you have to use connectors and varieties of sentence structures. So, let's have a closer look at step 5, omit, edit and rephrase. So the one that you have, the points that you have on your left hand side is the points before we omit, edit and rephrase. And the ones that you have on the right is the points after omitting and editing or rephrasing stage. So let's have a look at the points one by one. Point number 1, the actual original point is she began falling at an alarming speed. So when we omit, when we edit, we need to take only the action or the problem that happened to her. So it becomes shorter. She began falling. Point number 2, her paraglider was not catching the wind in the way that it needed to be. So we just need to take the idea that her paraglider was not working properly. So it becomes shorter. So point number 3, actual point, is she had been in similar situation before, so she quickly pulled her lines. Alright, so when we summarize this, when we edit, when we omit, it becomes very short. She pulled her lines. For point number 4, this time, however, the wing did not respond. So after you omit and edit, it becomes the wing did not respond. And point number 5, she struggled to control the wing as she was being thrown in all directions. And when we omit and edit, we can see that this point actually can be divided into 2 points. So it becomes point 5 and 6. She struggled to control the wing. She was thrown in all directions. The next point, point 6, she made a series of rapid turns which had no effect. So point 7 in the article, point 7 after you omit is she made some rapid turns but nothing happened. Point 7, now the ground was moving fast towards her. It becomes the ground was moving fast towards her. Point 8, flapping the wing was one way of slowing down to land, but it was too late now for that. When we omit, when we edit, it becomes it was too late for her to flap her wing to slow down. Next point, directly below her, she could see clumps of sharp bamboos. So after omitting and editing or rephrasing, it becomes short. There were clumps of bamboos. And then next point, a short distance away, near the edge of the field, there was a 2-story farm building that she wanted to avoid. The only idea here is avoiding the building. So let's rephrase that and change somewhere, and it becomes she had to avoid a farm building. Next point, she noticed a stream just wide enough for her to land in. She decided this was the best chance for her to land. So it becomes she noticed a stream and decided this was the best chance for her to land. And last point, but as she was about to touch down, her wing got caught on the roof of the farm building. And when we omit, edit and rephrase, it becomes her wing got stuck on the roof of the building. So if you notice, after we had done step 5, omitting, editing and rephrasing, all the points that we have found from the articles become very short. And now it will be easier for us to write the actual summary. When writing the actual summary, there are some tips to be kept in mind. The first tip is make boxes to help with word counts. Some students like to make boxes to help with the word counts. This is also helpful for the examiner when they are marking your summary later on. The next tip is to use the right pronoun, first person story. Alright, I have explained this in the reading comprehension section. When you're writing a summary, you have to be careful. You have to check the pronoun used in the article. If the pronoun is I, you have to change the pronoun into the writer or she or he when you are writing the summary, or else the summary will not be about that person, it will be about you. When you write your summary, write in a paragraph, and points must be written in sequence. Use variety of sentence structures. This one is actually very important if you want to score a good mark for the language part. If you are using only simple sentences, you might not be able to get 5 marks for language. But you have a variety of sentence structures, simple, compound and complex. It will help you to get more marks for language. And remember, rephrase when possible. Do not take risks. If you are not sure about the actual meaning when you are writing the summary, the points, do not rephrase, as if you change the meaning when you rephrase the point, you might not get a mark for that point. And the last one, obey the word limit. Remember, 130 words, so we just need to add 120 words of our own words, and don't forget to write the total number of the words you have written at the bottom. And last one from me is good luck and all the best for your SPM exam, and I hope you will do well for English paper. That's all from me. Thank you.